Mary, you've been a social worker for 2 decades, 20 years.
Almost, yep.
You're here to blow the whistle
Oh, gosh.
on many things. Please do. Where do we start?
Well, I've got twofold here. So we could start, we wanted to talk about flying and pilots, aviation support, emotional support, better not say anything type stuff with the FAA examiners. I have to preface, though, I am not an FAA examiner. I am not affiliated with the FAA. I have been surrounded by aviation my entire life. I respect those that are aviation professionals because I'm kind of one of those people. Well, so, okay, we could start with aviation.
Let's go.
Or we can start with the homeless population.
Let's go with aviation.
Aviation it is. Okay, where do you want to start?
I have no idea that we have a problem with aviation because I don't fly very often. I want to say a flight or two in 5 years, maybe. I don't like flying. Whenever I have to go, let's say, to Phoenix, I've been to Phoenix a month ago, or to Vegas, I drive. I like just the road trip. This is my thing. If I ever had to, let's say, Seattle, Salt Lake City, I would drive. I would never fly.
Why?
I don't like it. I don't like me being not in control. I don't like going to an airport for an hour earlier and sitting in the queue, in the line, etc., than having a cab or renting a car. I like being mobile. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'd rather spend, let's say, 4 to 5 hours driving to Vegas, but I'm with my own vehicle. I can do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. I can have a stop at this amazing diner, have dinner there, and continue my journey.
I flew out to Phoenix 2 weeks ago, and I think it's, 4.5 hours from where I live. I live in Riverside. And
4.5 hours flying?
No.
Driving.
To drive.
Yeah, right.
But by the time I got to Ontario, which was 2.5 hours early, and then by the time I got there, and then, I mean, could have drove.
Right.
Saved a couple $1,000s, but it's control, huh?
Well, if I ever had to go, let's say, to Florida, I would definitely fly to Florida. I wouldn't drive there. It's just too long of a distance.
Mm-hmm. But the control and knowing that it's given up when you walk on that plane.
Correct. No, you got no control.
You don't. And that's where it's like, well, you have to rely on who has been tested and passed and trained. I mean, you're relying on these people who we're told are doing okay, right? They know what they're doing.
Right.
I belong to this organization my grandpa belonged to. And that's where I say, like, I've been involved in aviation my whole life. So in Wichita, Kansas, I don't know if it's still considered this, but it was the air capital of the world, Wichita, Kansas.
If you can pull up your mic a little bit closer.
Here?
Okay. A little bit. Wichita, Kansas is what? The capital of
air
aviation?
Capital of the world.
Of the world?
The world.
Not the U.S.
Not
only?
the U.S., not North Street, Broadway. But here's why. You have flight safety. There was, and again, I don't know the specifics of what companies are still there because they fracture out and, but it was Cessna, Boeing, Spirit, Raytheon, flight safety, McConnell Air Force Base, very, very big airline, aviation, airplane
manufacturer.
Yes, was Wichita. Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it's the geographical center of the U.S. almost?
That's a good question. I don't know. But I can circle back and find out. My grandparents started a restaurant, and it was the first full-service restaurant in Wichita at that time, so in the 40s. And Savut's Italian Ristorante and Stick and Rudder Club. So the club, the nightclub, it's still open. My aunt and uncle run it now. My grandparents passed away. My grandpa passed away from a plane crash in 2000. So we'll pin that for a second. Mm-hmm. So it's all airplane enthusiasts. So they have airplane seats as the booths and just memorabilia from all over the world. So all of these people from all over the world who have to come, like Harrison Ford from like Indiana Jones, would come to Wichita, Kansas to go to flight safety to check for his check ride to continue to fly. So a lot of people coming in and out of Wichita to do their tests and whatever, but they'd all come to this little restaurant, and that's where we would be. And so the weekends were filled with pilots and jumpers, and I grew up in hangars going out on Saturday afternoons watching everybody jump out of the airplanes. I've jumped twice. My grandpa had a landing strip, and they'd have the jumpers out there. He flew Cessna. He had a 182 and a Cub, and he would fly like a little banner that said "Eat at Savoots" and things like that. And so I grew up flying with him, and my cousin's a pilot now, and he and my grandpa were best friends, you know. So, but that I say that because I'm in ground school, and I've got about 11 hours in the air. And as I've been kind of working through it, and I'm part of this organization that my grandpa was part of, the Commemorative Air Force, which has been tremendous. And what's super cool about them is they preserve military old planes. Mm-hmm. So, for example, there's a wing in Riverside in the Inland Empire, and it's called the D-Doll. And it's a C-3, and its first mission, was Normandy, D-Day. Isn't that neat? And so it's beautiful. I'll show you some pictures of it. And that's in Inland. So we fly it around to different air shows and things like that, and you can fly in it. And it's a cargo plane that when it would fly missions, it was the paratroopers coming out, mm-hmm. which was incredible because I think I read that 1 out of 4 might live. And
might?
Mm-hmm, during World War II. Mm-hmm.
Paratroopers?
Uh-huh. Because, I mean, you're landing. Are you going to land safe? Are you landing in the water? Are you going to get stuck on something? I mean, yeah, you're going to get shot.
You got 25% of surviving.
Maybe. And so we do this big fundraiser called Lights Over Riverside. And it's incredible. What do we do? We have it's a nonprofit, so they come out to the airport. There's Christmas cookies and music and things like that, and then you can fly in the C-3 and look at the lights from the sky.
How is it called? C-3?
Well, that's the plane. Mm-hmm. It's the D-Doll. They call it the doll. That's the name, like the nose art and the name of her. And then it's a cargo plane. That would
that one.
That's her. Now zoom in a little bit because I'm pretty proud of this one. Who does she kind of look like?
Like you.
So she's the D-Doll, right? And so I get to kind of live on that a little bit, and we've done a couple pinup photo shoots and things like that. And so that's kind of fun to do. It's ego.
Okay.
I'm an entertainer.
We all got one.
A little bit. And so with that, the Stick and Rudder Club, my grandparents gave me $5 to sing with the band one night. And that was it. I was in music ever since. And so
You got hooked.
Oh, yeah. And so I get to do, I know all the 1940s and 50s songs. I wanted to be Bette Midler from For the Boys. Period. All those old songs. And so
Mary, how did we go from that music, that type of music, those lyrics in 1940s, 50s to 60s to Wet Ass Pussy in 2017?
To what?
To Wet Ass Pussy by Cardi B. Do you know the song?
Oh yeah, of course I do.
How did we go from here to here? How is it possible? You used to sing about love, right?
Draft? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but this is 40s.
I know, but I feel like this is an opinion. I think that kind of where something is getting missed is the VA, for example. When you say, like, what's the difference between this love and that passion and that longing and am I, and are we going to say, and to Cardi B. And it's, I feel like at the VA, in my opinion, medical professionals who work at the VA should not maybe be veterans. And I feel like if you are in a high-profile diagnostic environment at the VA and previously you're a Marine or, you're retired this, that, or that, how can you not have a bias? Mm-hmm. And are you self-aware of your bias? Because the VA, in my opinion, is probably one of the worst medical systems in this country. And the veterans are relying on it because that's what's promised to you when you sign on this line. I'm going to take care of you when you come back. Mm-hmm. And they do, but it's very, very difficult to navigate through. And I know it. I've done case management in the hospitals. I'm a social worker. Like, I know the system, and I'm manipulative just enough to understand how to manipulate that too. But there's, in my opinion, okay, so now going back to your question, what happened to the music, or why is it tailored towards this instead of that? I'm sorry. Tailored towards this instead of that. I'm trying to wait off too. I was syncing it. That's why I was on it. It's, I think that could be our community's responsibility to give back to the veterans and to have connection and an understanding and some buy-in in our community, taking care of those that are fighting for us.
Okay, so the stats say that 17 to 18 veterans die by suicide every day.
I had a gentleman who tried to kill himself 6 times in 1 month, and the VA kicked him out after, what, the holding, 72 hours?
And he didn't succeed because of what? He didn't go till the end, or just...
He gave it a
miracle.
Real good try. And it was, I've had a few who really, really tried. And
using a gun?
No, not the gun. More pills. How can I injure myself? Kind of an impulsive type, but not a gun. I haven't had one. No, haven't had somebody try to kill themselves 6 times in 1 month with a gun.
Right.
But just that anger and that screw it, what else do I have to lose type thing. And I remember talking to the psychiatrist who was a resident, and I go, hey, Harry, how long have you been here? How long have you been in this department? Well, ma'am, I've been in this department for about 3 months. Oh, okay, so you still kind of give a shit, huh? Okay, you haven't been groomed completely to not care. Okay, listen to me, man. This guy needs you. You need to listen. You need to help him. You need to keep him there so we can really do something positive and transition his care and have some continuity. Yeah, no, they kicked him out.
Kicked them out?
Yeah, they discharged him to go home.
I just wonder, how do they keep enrolling new veterans, since 18 of them die by suicide every day?
Yeah.
When the youngsters see the stats and they're saying, oh, I'm not going to be one of those? 18 a day.
That's where I think, okay, so like in different countries, in your country, is there an obligation that you have to have X amount of time in military?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay.
But they used to. Back in my day, either you go and study, you go to college, or you go for a 9-month period, I want to say, to the Army.
Okay, so 9 months. I think that should be something here. They were talking about addiction, and Robert Kennedy Jr. Yeah, he said the way to build our community, exact quote I'm paraphrasing, but was through community and connection. There's no buy-in, though, from the community. You know, it's so split up, and there's so many opinions and so many distractions, and what's true, what's not. You know, you don't know. And I feel like if you're not in the military, there should still be a United States obligation to your country to have to do something for your community.
There is an obligation, paying taxes.
They're paying taxes.
You can't avoid that.
Yep, but I pay taxes, but where's my tax money really going? I'm skeptical. But if I know that my obligation, I'm chosen, I'm not gonna be in the draft. I'm 45. No, I won't. I'm not gonna be in the military. I'm not a military. Couldn't do that, but I can support you coming home. I knew that, and same with first responders and all the pilots. But I know that when I'm part of something and then it's destroyed, it's going to affect me. So like a national cemetery, for example. If I know that my obligation, this is what my mayor said that Mary Schultz has to do this. Okay, so I have to work the National Cemetery and make sure I have to go there once a week or once a month for the next 3 years to ensure that it looks nice. Me along with maybe 500 other people.
But that's why we pay taxes. So social workers or people that have those jobs, they could take care of the cemetery, roads, and you name it, parks.
Sure. Specifically, I'm going to stick with military, though, and military veteran type environments. I think that there's some disconnect because, well, out of sight, out of mind, who really cares? Those that are fighting, those that are in the military, and then coming back and needing support or some continuity. I feel like if our community, I mean, almost like having to be forced, but our community has to give to our community and serve our community. And I don't know, open our minds a little bit and get outside of our own barriers and our own biases, might have a different perspective on what's happening in our community with our veterans, with our first responders, with our pilots and aviation professionals who help our pilots. We might have a little bit more respect and gratitude for those that are fighting.
Yeah, but it's their choice to go to the military.
It's their choice.
You can't strip off my freedom by saying you have to do, let's say, 12 months after you're 18 years old to go to the military. You can't strip off my freedom.
No.
But if someone wants to, they get paid for it. This is their job. My job, let's say I'm an IT specialist, I'm a designer, I'm let's say a driver, truck driver, or you name it. And by paying taxes, I pay the salary for the veterans, for the ones in the military. So,
sure. But don't you think that when you sign your check to pay taxes is one thing, but here's an example. There was my heart is just hurt for these kids. There was a big fire in downtown Riverside a couple days ago. And one of the stories they showed was numerous kids who go to, I think it's RCC, one of the community colleges, I think it's RCC, all are displaced now. And I was thinking, like, wait a second. A lot of these kids that they were showing, and they were saying, like, I'm first generation here going to school, and it's hard enough to go to college. And I can't even imagine it now from distractions and just there's a lot going on, you know, and you're in college, you're going to have fun. They lost everything. They have nothing. And they're in school. And I feel like, and I even wrote this, I made like a little thing, like what's set up for these kids? They're kids who are trying to be better. They're trying to surround themselves, be inspired. They're around educators. They're trying to educate themselves and contribute to this society and this community and various professions, right? What are we as a community going to do to help them now, to show them like, hey, thank you. Thank you for being in school. Thank you for dedicating your time to wanting to learn and do more and be better for yourself, which is going to be better for other people around you, which is going to better your community. What are we going to do now as a community to help them, support them so they can keep going on their track, what eventually is going to circle back around and save our asses?
How about myself working on W-2 and paying 40% taxes?
Okay.
So I dedicate my money, my part of the money that I earn to the people so they could distribute the money properly. So I have a problem with charities.
Okay,
the problem with charity is the state knows if I don't help, let's say, minorities or this group or that group, or let's say there was a fire or something, if we don't help, although we have money, especially the fifth largest economy in the world, aka California, if we don't help, there are multiple charities. They're going to help because they have millions of dollars in their bank accounts.
They're always in the black too, yeah.
Right. So if we don't have any charities, it means the state has to help. And if I pay on W-2 40% of my salary, please help everyone that is in need. Kids, the ones that suffered from fires, from floods, and etc.
Right.
But they don't. So you want me to pay 40% tax if I'm W-2, or let's say 20 to 25% if I'm 1099, and then you want me to help More.
Right. Oh, I hear it. Okay, that is a very good point. Oh, nonprofits. Do we want to go there now? No, okay, so nonprofits, crooks. There are so many charities
Right. Charities.
set up to help our community, and it's just riddled in fraud.
So 6 years ago, BLM happened. How many millions did they raise? Guys, come in the comment section below. Tell me how many black people in the black community were helped with the money that they raised in that nonprofit.
Yeah.
Tell me.
And wait a second. And also, if those people, if they comment, could add, how much money did the founders
Right.
spend?
And were they caught?
Were they?
They did. They were caught.
But then, they're submitting all of these reviews for, to keep your 501c3, and it's just manipulation.
Right.
And that's for the veterans too. Those are drug and alcohol rehab facilities. I mean, there's a whole game with that. And then if you want to talk about the drugs that they give you for treatment and addiction, I mean, it's a hell of a game.
So the thing that Trump signed a couple of weeks ago for the veterans, is it a good thing or a bad thing since you've been working with the VA?
With Ibogaine?
Yes.
Oh, I agree.
What is that?
Ibogaine? Okay, so I also want to preface this too. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a psychiatrist. Well, that's a doctor, but I'm not a psychiatrist. So me speaking on medications and things like that, it's kind of, I've read it or I've experienced it with a client or things like that. So I'm not a physician who legally can say, well, but Ibogaine, microdosing, it is saving lives.
That's LSD?
Mm-hmm. You're tripping your ass off for a few hours. And
at home?
No.
There are special facilities when you take them?
Mm-hmm. So what Trump signed is new. So since then, traction that's been made or what's been legalized in any of the inpatient treatment centers and things like that, I'm not sure. I don't know. I know that on like your algorithm on social media, it's going to say you can microdose on ketamine, and they'll send it to your house, those types of things, very unmonitored. When I lived in Arkansas, I had a little nonprofit. And the whole reason I did it was because I was working with first responders, and that was also at the time where cops were really getting a bad look, impulsive. They're getting videoed, beating people up in different communities and neighborhoods and things like that. And so my question was more, why did they lose their composure? What's happening here? They're going from call to call to call to call to call. From a rabbit up a tree to a little girl getting injured to a mom who lost their baby. I mean, just da, 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 da. And then you got to kind of factor in, why did you become a police officer? Why? Why would you do this? Type of thing. But all of that to say, I wanted to work with the first responders. I wanted to make mental health affordable for them and their families. Got to support those families too. And kind of learn the culture without, I know I could not be in law enforcement. I couldn't be a firefighter. I couldn't be a Marine. No, but I still have to give to my community. I need to serve it. I've got buy-in in my community, and that educated me. And I found a lot of grace for these first responders. So that was the nonprofit. So what ended up happening was a retired firefighter came to me and asked me if we talked about using my nonprofit, because then I can get funding, going to the city to see if we could get some type of funding to help first responders get ketamine treatment. And there was one doctor in the area who would do it, and it was $600 a pop. And you know damn good and well they're going to say you need like 11 treatments. So, but it was in a controlled environment with a psychiatrist and an additional therapist processing this through you, with you. He said it saved his life because it opens up these pathways that we have blocked through our own exposure to life.
Ketamine?
Yeah.
I thought it's pain relief.
Ketamine?
Yeah.
No. It's and look that up. It like how it's classified in particular, but it's microdosing. It's
No, ketamine is not SSRI. Ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic that works primarily as an NMDA receptor antagonist, blocks glutamate receptors. It's in a completely different drug class.
Yep. So now there's ketamine treatment in like, you know, something that's kind of gained a lot of traction are those IV clinic type places where like a nurse practitioner is managing it under the watch of an internal medicine doc, an MD. An MD will supervise or approve for the nurse practitioner to, or PA, physician's assistant, to open these clinics to have, you know, dehydrated.
Right.
Okay,
Electrolyte.
and trip on ketamine. But then just make sure they have a ride home. But wait a second, they're supposed to be utilizing ketamine as an assistant to processing trauma, PTSD, things like that, and it's saving your life. But now they're kind of getting loose with it. So Ibogaine, for example, from what I understood, at least initially, you could the closest to access it here would be Mexico. And there was a recent documentary that came out. Can I say the name? So Waves of War. And they're a nonprofit now. And that had to do with SEAL Team 6. And it's on Netflix and it's good. And they've been partnering with Stanford. I am not affiliated with this nonprofit. I am not affiliated with none of this. Independent gal over here. But it was fascinating and it's a great visual as well when they talk about where they were, what had happened to them, why they joined the military in the first place. That's something, because that's going to impact how and why you respond to things. Then how many tours they were on, how many people they lost, and what they were about to lose, which was their families. And these wives were like, you go to the VA, you get pretty much the status quo, like, thing of drugs. You're going to get some sleeping drugs. You're going to get, like, trazodone, maybe Ambien. You're going to get some SSRIs, maybe some blood pressure meds and some Adderall. Like, all of these, like fighting against each other drugs that are tough to take, let alone they knock you out or they don't. I mean, just the side effects in itself. And what was happening is that just upped the suicide ideations because it's not working. What are we going to try now or whatnot? I'm going to try sex. I'm going to try porn. I'm going to try drugs. I'm going to try alcohol. Why not? Right?
And nothing else.
No. So they started researching Ibogaine. And that's what they did.
Ibogaine is an ingredient?
Ibogaine is, now I have to look that one up too. It's a root. It's a plant, and they compound this. How I sound so like not like informed here, but you basically, like I said, you trip your ass off. But what it's doing is you're processing the traumas in your life. And when you come out of this, it's for addiction. It's for grief. It's for loss. And the way that this show kind of illustrates it, to me, was just, it was beautiful. Because like one of them, I think the guy was like falling, and he says, as I'm going down, there's all these like notes of all this bad shit that had happened to him as he was going through his life. Then he kind of lands on the ground and he looks up and he walks over to this wall where all those notes were, and he's pulling them off. And as he's pulling these off, it was like release. Because, I mean, addiction is a coping mechanism, in my opinion. You have found something that works, and you have found something that makes this not so bad, you know? And I think that's why, again, kind of going back to buy into your community. How would I have known that if I was a case manager in the hospital and never really talked to the first responders, or hadn't, just kind of branched out a little bit to learn something more? My mouth is watering. Okay, so having that buy-in in your community, learning and like kind of expanding your own education, but learning more about who you are and your own biases. Okay. The reason I think that, again, is important is for situations like this. You look at a veteran that is homeless, shooting drugs up, and they're just looks through, they're a piece of shit, whatever. Why couldn't you make this work? Why can't you get your shit together? Well, wait a second. Why did you join the military? What were you escaping? What did you need to get away from? What happened to you? Okay, now I'm going to put you in a tanker, and I'm going to put you in the front lines because, I mean, after all, you said you got nothing to lose. And you live, and now you're home with terrible coping mechanisms, except what you had been surrounded around. And now you've got trauma from war and tramadol, or, sleeping drugs and Ambien and Adderall and blood pressure meds. And I can't get a hold of my case manager at the VA, and I can't it's like drugs are a pretty darn good option because it's going to make it tolerable.
Okay, so the original story of a Rambo movie, 1976, I want to say. Do you remember the plot?
Nope.
No?
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Rambo?
Oh, Rambo.
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 Do you think this is a real life story? Do you think this is still happening in the U.S.? When a veteran comes home from, let's say, a war or just from his service, and he's no longer needed, and even he's being poked at?
Definitely.
For what? Why people don't love veterans? Let's say they only served. They didn't go to, let's say, Iran. You name the Middle East country. They just served at the base. And once they come back, once they discharge, why do people don't love them? Why don't people, let's say, pay respect to those people?
And that's why, going back to serving your community, having some buy-in in your community, because again, there's a lot of opinions about war. There's a lot of political gain in the narrative you want to push, but even if you're in the reserves, you're just reserves. You're just reserves working with equipment that wasn't maybe good enough to be on the front lines anymore, but that's what you're going to train on. You're in the reserves. You're still at a risk of getting injured and killed.
Right.
But you're just reserves. So you're just at the base, right? So like the example you gave. So now when you get released and you're not sensationalized and you're not honored, I mean...
No, I'm not talking about being sensationalized and honored, but just respect.
Yeah, no.
Other human beings.
And I think that's the key. That's why, in my opinion, from experience, what I have seen, what I have learned, what I have studied, that is why I think we should be the ones. Mary should be the therapist at the VA, not a retired Marine therapist who has a bias, or the ones that are doing the disability ratings. It's kind of like, oh, you were in the Air Force. Oh, well, I'm a Marine and got my leg blown off, and
They're doing that.
Oh, hell yes. They don't say it, but yeah. Oh, I worked with a guy who he filled out an application for for his disability rating, and the lady who helped him at a clinic checked 2 different questions wrong or different, which it meant they it was a conflicting answer. Like, is he capable of doing this? No. Okay. Then they ask it again in a different way, and they said yes, kind of a thing. So that means that application just got pushed out because it's conflicting. So that means no. He got denied. Now, he had a pretty good upbringing, and he was in the military. He was in the Army. He was deployed. He came back. He ended up having some things happen, and he had a psychiatric break in his mid-20s. In men, when you have that, like a psychotic break, excuse me, and so then he was diagnosed. Oh gosh, my mind just went blank. Multiple personalities, dissociation disorders, things like that, and okay, so that was his diagnosis, which is when you have a psychiatric break, and that's in men in their mid-20s, that's usually when that would happen. I'm like totally drawing a blank right here, and I know your people are going, well, wait a second.
So he was denied with disability.
Yeah, he was super denied, yeah, and he deserved he earned it because he was in the military, but he didn't have a prior psychiatric diagnosis. So then when he had this break and is like psychotic, and now seeing things and hearing things and all of that, that was after the military. And so he's been going he's homeless, he's got into drugs, and so then I meet him, and I'm going, wait a minute here. What was your childhood like? Okay. When you joined the military, did you say that you had any psychological? Nope. Gets back, has that psychiatric break. Now he's doing drugs, and now, he in and out of jail. He's getting in trouble. He's homeless, and nothing. They wouldn't give him the diagnosis or give him the review. They kicked it out and said no. But we are willing to look at it again when you submit all the additional information. They didn't ask me. They didn't request information from me. The reason I say this is because when your family, do you see life a little different now that you're a husband and a father?
Once you have kids, of course you see life differently.
Okay. Do you ever look back and think to yourself, how could I have ever thought that now that you have this?
Okay, so my life views changed. I want to say not dramatically, but they change, and I want to say they change every 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you asked me, let's say 5 years ago, is it okay for a human being to have, let's say, $500 billion being of a net worth? I would say, yeah, of course. Did he earn this money legally? Yeah, so no problem. But now if, let's say, the same Elon Musk is worth $800 billion, I would say something's wrong with this, because he can influence the entire election. He can influence the entire politics of the country and maybe in the entire world by acquiring X, creating other AI companies, and ruling the world with the technocracy.
Mm-hmm.
So my views do change.
I'm an only child, and I wanted to be a star. I wanted to be a singer, and I was never going to have kids. I don't like kids, and I'm sure as hell not going to babysit. I can't imagine. I have, did you ever think you were capable of the love that you have now? How you can feel, how you can love? Now that you have the life that you do. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes, so this is a different type of love.
It is?
One type of love is the love for your wife or your spouse, right? The other type of love, let's say, to the animals. I love dogs, for instance.
Oh, sure.
And once you have kids, you find out that there is another type of love for the one you love your kids. It's a different one.
And it is unconditional. And the reason I ask and I use that as an example is, had I never had children, I wouldn't know this side of things, and I wouldn't give the grace to another parent, or I wouldn't notice some kid who's all just flippant walking out of a restaurant and lets a door shut on a woman who's pushing her carry, with her baby. I wouldn't maybe be as noticeable. I would notice it. I'd be like, you're rude and you're a jerk and you should look behind you. But it's mother pushing her child and you couldn't look behind you to make sure you help somebody out the door. That's what I mean. Taking it back to the community and having a little bit of buy-in and not just assuming the details of the different situations and circumstances happening in your community, happening in your government. You're active. You have to be active.
Okay, so you've served as a social worker for almost 2 decades. Let's take California only. Out of 100% of homeless, how many percentage-wise of them are veterans? Approximately.
So I looked up LA in particular, and according to that, there were around 3,000 homeless veterans in LA. That seems
Out
low.
of super low?
So I would have thought there would have been more because there's a lot of homeless in LA. And it was saying out of those, there's around 3,000 of them were veterans.
Okay, so let's say in 2025, LA County, 72,000. The city of LA, 43,000 homeless. You said $3
Where
grand?
did I get the 3 then?
3,000 of them, no, 300 of them
3,000, but
were veterans.
that according to the thing that I looked at.
Okay, so every 10th,
Yeah.
10%. Okay, you said you know how to solve homelessness in California.
We're moving, aren't we?
How?
Again, and this is with the foundation here of a community serving community and doing that. And unfortunately, and I guess it's saying like being forced, but connection through community, right? Community and connection, but getting an idea of why and what's going on and what's happening and not just assuming and sitting back, like, what is it? The keyboard warriors, they call it. And just stating your little opinion and causing all of these problems, and you don't know shit about what's going on out there. That's a problem for me. And that's why I think if we had more community, maybe mandatory community service, that would give us as a community a better understanding of really what's going on instead of just sitting back and thinking you do.
Let me give you an example. So
Please.
I was born in 1988. My mom and my dad met each other at the quote-unquote community service because back in the day in the USSR, every summer, almost every student had to go and to do community service.
Okay.
So my mom and my dad went to the field to dig up the potatoes. You want to do this? You want to do this mandatory?
No, not necessarily digging up potatoes.
No, but still a community service to be mandatory?
Mandatory.
But this is
community
America.
service.
This is the land of the free.
Yeah.
You can't make me do shit
Huh.
except paying taxes and abide the law. I'm good with this.
Yeah.
But me helping others, I have my own issues. I have my own, let's say, family or business or just entertainment. Let's say I like watching TV shows and smoke weed. You cannot make me do something for the community if I don't want to, because this is America. This is not the USSR.
No, I agree. But also, there's so many fractured. So by not doing that, which I could see why a lot of people in the community in terms of politics and all of that too wouldn't want you to either, because they've got their own agenda. You know, and that's why it's like if more people get involved, the more and more people get involved, you, for example, would there have been a you 20 years ago doing this right now? No, probably not. It wasn't happening, right? So then you're utilizing your platform to enhance education. You are a community, you're providing community service right now.
Yeah, but I do it because I like
Because
to.
you like it.
And it's not mandatory.
But
That's a big difference.
You're right. But what inspired you to do it?
I like talking to other different people.
Why?
And having different opinions, because only by talking to different people with different opinions, you're going to get to the truth. I want to get to the truth.
That's right. And so by you doing that, you're educating yourself, which makes you a better person, makes you a better husband, makes you a better father for your daughter, for your. Is it okay to talk like?
Sure.
Okay, I just make that.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're bringing on people that you feel is going to contribute to your mission by educating you, making you more self-aware, making you understand different perspectives and being open-minded and learning and teaching yourself to be more open-minded.
Correct.
That's why. That's why I think the community should be serving the community. We should be serving our veterans, the doctors, the dentists, the social workers, the therapists, the whatever. We should be the ones giving back to our veterans and first responders when they come here, because that gives you education, that gives you inspiration, it enhances who you are, and then you've got buy-in. And I'll go back to that cemetery. If you over the summer had, like your parents, instead of digging up potatoes, you have to go pull weeds at the cemetery. Over the summer, that's your mandated or whatever to community service. And then you drive by and some asshole has vandalized it. Don't you think you might give a little more of a shit than you did if you didn't have to do it?
But that's why police is here. Because I can't do trial on my own.
Oh, I can't wait to go there. Okay.
But so give me two options then. If you want to help your community, do me a fixed tax, 10%. Out of everything that you earn, let's say up to $1 million a year, you only pay 10% of your earnings, and you do, let's say, X amount of community service a year. I'm fine with that. But if I don't want to do any community service, then my taxes stay the same. Let's say 30% or 20%. So, give me options.
Oh,
I want to serve my community.
Hey, I like
Give
that
me options.
idea.
Give me 10% fixed tax.
I really like that idea, because what's happening with our tax money? What's happening with our tax money?
I don't know. Every time I go out, I see the roads full of holes. It's an insane thing to have in California with this amount of weather. This kind of weather.
And the amount of money you have to spend.
Correct.
Exactly.
And the homelessness with $24 billion just lost and unaudited. Where is the money?
Where is it?
Give me a piece of the pie.
Exactly.
I will help the community.
Exactly. And I think, and now, okay, this is an opinion, Spencer Pratt.
Okay.
I like him. He's my era, though. I was that was my age time. But something that I appreciate about him is he's got a little bit of buy-in, doesn't he? His house burned down and he got screwed. All of them did. They are. And
let's have this conversation if he gets elected, and let's have this conversation in 2 years.
Okay.
Okay? Well, because right now he only has promises.
Only promises.
Vote for me and I'm going to do this, this, and that.
Right.
If he's going to be elected, not Mayor Bass is going to be reelected, let's have this conversation in 2 years. Because all of the politicians, all they like to do is what? Talk. Like we do.
And who pays them?
But we don't get paid for it.
Right.
And they do.
Right. And how do they get paid again?
By our tax money.
That's right. So here, let's go back. There's no buy-in from the community. There's run that shit, damn it, here you go. And then they're pissed off when they find out what happened. Well, I thought that is for the homeless. And wait a second, I thought it was for that. And I thought it was for that. No, it's not. So really, in 2 years, I hope Spencer Pratt and I are working together and I can actually explain to him and teach him and tell him what's happening with those homeless people and why they're not going to get off the street. Because doesn't the government, doesn't each city and state, you get federal money.
Correct.
They get federal money. LA gets federal money to help homeless.
But let's not even take federal money.
Yeah.
This is the fifth economy in the world, the state, California.
Right. They're not spending the money on the homeless. That's my point. My point is they don't want to get rid of homeless. They're getting money for them. But why are they homeless?
Because they can't afford living.
Right. But what can they afford? Drugs. Maybe.
Because drugs are not free too.
Right. And insurance. Can they afford insurance?
Of course not.
Right. But what do they have? Insurance. They have Medi-Cal, right?
Medi-Cal, correct.
Okay. So as somebody, private practice, who understands insurance and billing, I bill. So reimbursement. Now, in Arkansas, reimbursement rates. The state always did more. So Medicare or Medicaid, Medi-Cal, same thing. Always has had a high. Has had a higher reimbursement rate. So, for example, in Arkansas, I could bill and get $166 an hour. That's a lot of money for a therapist, right?
In Arkansas.
In Arkansas. It's 120 something here, more than any other insurance. Okay, when you've got Medi-Cal, because that reimburses more than any other private insurance, but how much money do you spend in insurance a month? How much money do I spend in insurance a month? A lot. And my husband, he's got ours is a lot. But I'll tell you what, that homeless lady with Medi-Cal is going to get a CT scan way before I am because their reimbursement rate's higher. Now, that's an opinion. I've seen it from a therapeutic standpoint. I've watched kind of how it's navigated in case management and hospitals and things like that. And I mean, and I'll say this, if I'm wrong in what I say and she said, don't yell at me, teach me something so I can be better.
Correct. I agree with you.
Because that's my approach is I'm going to say something wrong here and somebody's very much going to disagree with me and probably pull up data and like even with it said what I pulled up said 3, but yeah, teach me something so then I can continue to educate and serve and tailor it a little tighter. That's my point. So out here they don't particularly want to get anybody better, do they? Because doesn't that like fracture the system from big pharma, from like addiction and Ibogaine, going back to Ibogaine, it's successful. It's very successful.
And that's the problem.
Very, very. And so it's like, okay, so going back to the homeless and serving your community here. What'll happen is I'm going to go to rehab. If you go to rehab and you say, I've got a private insurance and you have Medi-Cal, who are they going to choose?
Medi-Cal, because will charge me more.
Right.
Because the state's going to pay for it.
Right. Who's already getting federal money for that homeless person, right? So do we really need them better? I don't know. Now, they're going to get out of this treatment center and maybe go to a sober living. Okay. It is known that they dirty UAs. They have people kind of, there's a lady
who... dirty UAs?
Oh, yeah.
What's UA?
Urine analysis.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there is a show, a lady, the show is called Trafficked. This lady's cool. She's cool. And she interviews assassins, and from assassins to pilots to gangs and just all these different, and she got into the treatment centers and the fraud centered around those. It's a great watch. You've got a good TV list, Waves of War, and now the series Trafficked. And it is known that they don't want you better, but no, not but. They don't want you better, really. And they need this door to keep going, and they need to keep you alive. So what happens is you're on fentanyl, and a big fear in addiction is withdrawal. Mm-hmm. And so, like most, what's that quick fix for withdrawal? And it's Suboxone now, right?
What is that?
Suboxone? Remember, it's not a psychiatrist or a doctor, but it's a medication that you can take that will assist with the cravings and minimize the really uncomfortable feelings of withdrawal.
Withdrawal, okay.
It is 3 times potent, more potent than, I believe, morphine. And
So you're getting addicted to this thing?
Way worse. Mm-hmm.
So you're treating fentanyl with this new stuff, and then you get addicted to this new stuff.
Yeah. It should be a temporary medication to taper down in like a week.
Right. You go through withdrawals and you're good. You're sober.
Uh-huh. So then get off of Suboxone. And that is an opinion I would love to see from your viewers. Those that have suffered with addiction, try to get off Suboxone. It's hell. So what happens then is, let's say, all right, you start Suboxone and you have a dirty UA in treatment or in your sober living, and now you're kicked out and you don't get Suboxone anymore. The withdrawal for Suboxone is terrible. You'd rather withdraw from hydrocodone or oxycodone because the half-life is so long and it's so drawn out and it's so uncomfortable. And you shoot your drugs back up. So there's that rotating door. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's the what's the word that I want? Sorry.
Do you believe in Christ?
I do.
So maybe this is hell for those people.
Oh, it is. Now
It's torture. It's circles of hell
and
that
then,
you go rounds.
And then you're relying on these professionals to help you, right?
Right.
With
When
the
I go
right-
to a doctor, please help me.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
this issue.
Yeah,
have
yeah.
this issue. Please help me.
In a lot of rehabs or medical assisted treatment, MAT, Suboxone clinics, methadone clinics, they're cash only. So I mean, there's a lot of it's just not safe. It does a lot of good for a lot of people, and those types of medications just in themselves can help break up the routine. Let's say you wake up every morning and that's when you would take your drugs, or you would do this, or it works. It does. You're not taking handfuls of pills all day to not withdraw. It's going to hold you, and that's comforting. And there's so much guilt and so much sadness centered around addiction that when you do start to kind of come out of it and you start feeling things and feeling anxiety and feeling pain and hurt and grief, that's the reason you started the damn thing. So now it's like, let's go back to, why did you get into the military? Why did you become a police officer?
Let's say I fell for propaganda. I fell for those short TV ads on TV, right? Let's say I thought that I'm physically capable. I thought that I'm gonna be paid pretty good, and I liked action. I couldn't just sit behind the desk. So let's say this is my reason why I got into military.
You like action?
Action.
Okay. You still like to fly? Or there's no control, right?
No control.
Okay. So you like the action. You like adrenaline. Why do you like adrenaline?
I've got lots of testosterone.
You got a lot of testosterone. Okay, well, that must be rare because actually that's dropping. But my question is, tell me about your childhood.
So you want to say that some part of veterans that served in the military, they go to the military because they had issues and problems in childhood? Let's say they got abused, or they were the ones that abused others, and they want to quote unquote torture other people because they're used to it.
Some do. Look at the Nazis. Hitler went right for the people who were at the bottom because they had nothing to lose, and he'd put them right up front. Who cares, right? And they have nothing to lose, so they're going to run, they're going to fight, they're going to do whatever they want. They're going to do what you tell me to do.
Russians did that during the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
Russians did that during the First and the Second Wars in Chechnya.
Mm-hmm.
It's called, in Russian language, since this is my native language, they call it мясо. It means the meat, minced meat, because you take those people that have nothing to lose, usually youngsters, put them on the front line.
Now, youngsters, I am fascinated with gang culture. And the only reason why...
Gang culture?
Gang culture. And me, right? So, and the only reason, what started it for me was because I looked outside my own question and bias and wonder, wanted to serve my community and learn a little bit more about why would that cop beat the hell out of that man? Like in specific nationalities and races in particular, because that's what kind of really brought in the heat. Well, where were they? Maybe Compton, Long Beach, like what was happening. And so those environments, this is why I'm fascinated with gang culture, because, oh, you're a blood. Oh, you're a Crip. Oh, you're a piece of shit. Oh, you're in this gang, 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 gang. Why'd you join a gang? Oh,
No other options.
my dad was in prison.
Right.
My mom is at work.
Or a hooker.
Or, right? She's trying to provide.
Correct.
But I'm going to have I'm going to have a bias, and I'm going to be like, oh, she's a whore. Oh, okay. So your mom's this and that's that, and dad's in jail. So you must be a piece of shit. That's why you joined a gang. No, quite the contrary. Maybe that gang was the only thing that gave you any grace. They said, you're somebody, you're something. We see you.
Okay, so let's put the same youngster from East LA with the same amount of problems. Let's put him, let's say, in Calabasas.
Okay.
Do you think he would still have joined the gang? Because I think it's all about community and your surroundings.
Oh, I agree. So you mean if he
got used to this gang culture in school, in movies, through music, and he has had these issues in his own family. Mom's either working 3 jobs, or she's a hooker, she's a drug addict, dad is in jail, or he's just absent. He's in East LA back in the 80s to 90s.
There you go.
He's got no other options. But let's say he put the same youngster, the same boy, teenager, to Calabasas, or let's say Irvine, Orange County.
Oh, yeah.
Newport Beach.
With the wealth, then?
No wealth. Just the community change.
Just the community change?
And let's say he lives with an aunt or an uncle.
I think he'd be in jail.
Still.
Because this would be really uncomfortable and judgmental. You took him out of his home. They go back, and you kind of wonder, well, like, why would you want to go there?
Right.
Why would you want to go to the streets? Why? Well, that's now what's safe and comfortable. I can't imagine living in a empty riverbed, but a lot of people, that bar, that set they have set for themselves, that something is better than nothing, just like a drug. And so, when you've been in these environments where mom is working, dad's in jail, you're by yourself, who's watching you? And who's hurting you? I mean, most of the guys that I've worked with that are in gangs have been sexually assaulted by the auntie, the grandma, the people in church. They don't say anything.
Grandma assaulted a kid?
Sexually? Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Why? Well, why wouldn't they? Because they're a grandma?
Right. Because usually women do not do that. Men usually do that.
Now, can you imagine a young boy going to church because mom's working and dad's in jail and mom trusts the church, and that little boy gets molested by an elder?
Execution.
You think they're going to say anything? You think that boy is going to be like, oh, she did that to me? No, I don't think so.
Because of stigma?
Sure. Yeah. But then what's going to happen? They've experienced it. There's so much shame and guilt associated to it. They don't feel included. They don't feel loved. They don't feel heard. They're not seen. But that guy saw me. That gang member, or that brother, that friend, my brother, I mean, like my brother and my sibling, and something was better than nothing. I was at least a something to someone.
Okay, where are the gangs now?
Well, in my opinion, I feel like the drugs are different too. So and again, I've never been in a gang. So it's, I know, to see or hear somebody like me talk about bias and things, and I haven't experienced things that you have, I'm sure, and
vice versa.
And guys in Compton, but what I've learned is there is a lot of support and a lot of love in those communities. I think that there's also a lot of violence and a lot of drugs and a lot of hurt. But again, why did they do it in the first place? What were they needing to access?
Okay, but what changed? What has changed so we
Okay.
don't have any gangs now? Where's mafia?
Well, the mob is
Nowhere even near.
Oh, the mob is still there. I'm an Italian. No, the mob is still prevalent. It's just different looking, right? Actually, I was watching something about when was it during the Prohibition, and how the mob, there was 5 mob families that were kind of ringleading this enterprise for bootlegging. And but again, going back to it, it was something is better than nothing. And now I think the gangs, in kind of what I've learned and researched and talked about with my veterans that I've met who were recruited and they lived in Compton. And it's like what's different now is the impulsivity centered around like PCP, the different drugs that just make
What's
you
PCP?
crazy. PCP.
It's a drug?
Oh yeah. What would it be comparable to? I mean, it just, you're high.
Phenycyclidine. Is that it?
PCP.
That's the word?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Hallucinations,
So,
extreme dissociations.
In MDA, so you don't know what you're getting though, because the drugs, you don't know what you're getting in drugs anymore off the streets. Where it used to be coke and it used to be,
You can get coke with fentanyl, let's say. The choices.
They used to cut it with baby powder in the 60s, and now it's like fentanyl. But what happens when you take these drugs, and let's say you're bipolar or you're on an antidepressant or something like that, that's going to greatly affect how you respond, which at one point it was called excited delirium, where you're bulletproof. If you have excited delirium from smoking PCP and you're on an SSRI, you're on Lexapro or something like that, then the way you respond is scary. You're bulletproof. A bullet couldn't stop you.
Okay, give me an example. So a veteran comes home. Right now, a veteran, it means he didn't participate in any action. Because the last time the U.S. was in war, let's say that was what, Iraq, Afghanistan? So it was like, let's say 20 years ago. So let's say a veteran comes home from just serving in a base in the Middle East. What kind of problems does he have?
He just came back from a base in the Middle East.
Yeah, he served, let's say, he didn't have any action because there were almost none.
Army? No, like what branch are we in? No, and now they come to me.
Yeah, and they have a problem. Okay. What kind of problem do they have? PTSD?
Maybe. Now, so not everybody who is in action is going to have PTSD. So,
that was my question, right?
Okay, so the way that I approach mental health and counseling and all of that, when you come to me and you say, I just got back and I've been drinking a little bit more and I wasn't in action, we just kind of sat at the base, whatever. But while I was gone, my wife had an affair. Okay, and I missed the birth of my child. And okay, so there's that. But, well, why did you join the military? Well, I mean, I didn't have anything else to do. And my question is, when you were a kid, my very first question always is, when you were a kid, was there anybody you could emotionally rely on? Because these adults, these humans, these people around you are the ones that are teaching you how to react. And that's scary, too, because now a lot of the educators, instead of the schools or the churches or your parents, are now influencers on social media. And that's Bible. That's smoke and mirrors, that whatever they're suggesting.
Because in school they teach that there are 96 genders. So what kind of education this is? So
it's like, when you were a kid, could you emotionally rely on anyone? That typically can open up a good conversation and give me a little perspective of why you're addicted to this, or you're having a hard time with that, or the way you respond to this is impulsive. Like that gives me an idea of why we joined the military, what branch of the military, which then I'm going to go right back to the VA and the buy-in to having civilians be the ones doing the testing and the diagnosing, giving like, let us take care of you, because how can you walk into somebody and go, well, that's all that happened to you? You were just on a military base? What are you complaining about? I was in a Black Hawk that got shot at. You're nothing. Why are you sad? Okay, there's your bias. But
a civilian will never understand an action, combat in action too.
That's a good point. And something that I've had to delicately finesse is the fact that I'm not a cop, I'm not a firefighter, I'm not a paramedic, I'm not a veteran, I'm not in the military, I'm none of that. I have objectivity though, because I'm not, but I respect that enough that I've volunteered a lot of time and I've taken the time to earn it from them by donating time in the mornings. I used to get up and go to the briefings in the morning at a police department in Arkansas, and that's how I gained traction, period. And it took about 2 years of me saying, could I come in the morning just to tell them there's this is your employment assistance program, here's how you access it, or I could be like a little mini social worker for you because I know the resources. If I can take that off your plate and get you home faster, maybe that would help you not drink as much or have a better conversation with your family, allow you to be more present. What could I do to take something off of your plate? And showing consistency, I was reliable. Even though I'm not a you, I cared enough to learn what I could from this capacity about your culture.
But why not hire such person in the police department that would take those responsibilities of the police officers?
They do it now.
Okay.
Who started it?
It's getting better.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you.
Arkansas. And now they were already doing this here. They have social workers and therapists at the police departments that ride along with law enforcement, help with the suicide calls and things like that. And then they're there to help kind of navigate the care from there and do assessments, risk assessments and things like that. That enabled the police officers who aren't as trained in it to kind of step back a little bit and learn, have a little bit of space between it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. What about other countries? The U.S. is not the only country that has this problem with first responders and the veterans, that the way that they are treated here. Mm-hmm. Or the U.S. is the only country in the world that has this problem?
It's the only country in the world that I care about enough to want to invest the time to serve the community to try to make it better.
But what I mean is, if other countries, let's say the UK, they have a big military as well, maybe we could learn from them if they solve this problem much better than us. Mm-hmm. So maybe we could learn from them.
Well, let's talk about your country.
2.8 million population is the population of my country. Mm-hmm. So we don't have anything, because the LA itself is, let's say, 8 million. Mm-hmm. My country, the whole country itself is not even 3 million. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe you can learn in this area, in this aspect, anything from my country.
But I think that when you're investing your time in your community and you're going to learn different perspectives and biases and approaches because you're out there showing that I'm here to learn. Teach me something. How can I be better? How can I serve my community? How can I understand something a little bit better so then I can teach my children and have a conversation with them? So the tide will change.
Let me give you an excuse, and you're gonna tell me whether it's a proper excuse or not.
We've talked about a lot.
California. Let's take California only. I don't know what life is in other states. A family of 4, 2 kids, mom and dad.
Okay.
Both of them have to work their asses off. Maybe even multiple jobs. Let's say dad works 2 jobs just to provide for the family, to pay either mortgage or rent, to have a vehicle, one or 2 vehicles, and just to pay for the food, put it on the table, right? So you want to tell me that 2 adults working 2 or 3 jobs or even 4 jobs combined, raising 2 children, have to spend their an hour a day that they have left for the community? They work their asses off. They have no energy and no desire to do anything rather than to check the homework of their kids. And once they go to sleep, just to sit back, relax, and watch one episode of their favorite TV show. Is that a proper excuse?
There's a lot of that out there.
Correct. Majority of Californians, I want to say, live like this.
I think most do. I mean, everything is so at your fingertips now, in my opinion. Quick gratification.
Correct.
And these, we're getting groomed to, everybody's got ADHD now. In case you didn't know. Bullshit.
I don't buy it.
I don't either. And I think that we're conditioned to however long the reels are to pay attention.
Correct.
And but with that though too, and the quick gratification and accessibility to anything we want comes debt too. So, is it spending? Is it not understanding how? But I mean, no, I don't even say that because it's so expensive. Like, it is so expensive to provide a living and to try to do that. I hear what you're saying about community service and buy-in. My point is, we have so many people who milk a system. They're on disability. They're lying about things. They're manipulating situations to not have to work. They're taking advantage of the system. That if there was more buy-in and helping and serving your community, I think there would be more peace because you would be more educated and you would see different perspectives and different circumstances that at one time you may have been more judgmental regarding.
Okay, I'm going to tell you where I'm at. I'm at, you do your thing once it's good. Let's say I have a family, me, my wife, and 2 kids. I have to take care of my family. Once I do that, I can take care of, let's say, my apartment complex, then of my community, let's say Woodland Hills. We live in the valley. Then I can, even when we get things right here, we can go, let's say, city-wise, then state-wise and nation-wise. But most of the people, me, myself included, I barely make my ends meet within my own family. I have no time, desire, and energy to help others because I am drowning, and I'm not the only one.
No.
Do you own a house where you live? That house is what? Worth minimum $1 million.
Wow.
Let's say $1 million.
$1 million. Yeah.
$1 million. It's impossible to earn that amount of money and just to own a house. This is the problem. Not TikTok and Instagram Reels. This is the problem, that people cannot afford living because houses, at the bare minimum, $500,000 or even $1 million. That is insane.
It is insane. I think where I'm coming from is the judgment. There's so much judgment without education and understanding. There's just impulsive comments and, just discarding people, like the homeless, for example.
I agree with you.
And we can sit here and say, I'm going to solve this problem and I'm going to fix this. And then, oh man, the roots are so deep and there's so much, manipulation and opportunity to take advantage of. So how much do these people want, like, do they really want to would they ever cut costs of your taxes to 10% so then you can donate in community service? And no, because that's paying new homes and whatever else they can manipulate and navigate through to keep making more money off of your dime. But my point is, if you have, and I guess saying mandatory is a big deal. Is it China? You have to do 4 years or something, like BTS had to quit making music because Korea. Korea. And it's like, but the respect for their country is a little bit different, I think.
You want to take my 4 years? Even a year? Out of my life?
Out of your life? No. But that's...
Okay, what about women then?
That's just...
Should women serve like they do in Israel? That's the question.
Oh.
If we're talking about feminism, right? Equal rights. We serve the military. You serve in the military too? Okay.
Okay. I'm glad you asked that, because I think that's where the answer is. I think if, somebody, if the husband has served, or, XYZ, okay, so the women, I think that women can join the military and they can be pilots. Absolutely. I do think that maybe that's the calling then. I'm not going to be in the military, but I have a profession that I can serve the military. And that would be counted towards some level of community service, providing that for my country, trying to make it better. They're fighting for us to stay safe and free. So then inside, it's like, what are we going to do here? Like, okay, you just did all this work and your mind is fractured and your leg's blown off and you come back and you're spit on? What? Now, that person that just spit on you, what if they had to spend a summer doing 2 hours a week at the VA? It might look a little different when they come out. They might learn something.
But if that person has an animosity towards veterans, it would not help him serving the veterans.
That's a good point. Why is there animosity towards a veteran? Is it from some video they watched online?
Brainwashed propaganda.
There you go. It's not the truth, maybe. So now you have to see the truth. You're out in the community, like the homeless. You're going to just judge them. Just call them what you will, look through them. Those are the folks that I like to work with. I like to work with people that are looked through, like the supporting staff that you take advantage of if you go through a drive-through or a CNA in a nursing home, the ones who get paid the least but are the reason that you can be successful. You go out there and I'm not saying it's always like this either. I mean, but when you start to learn a little bit about why and how they got there, and system failure, system manipulation, parent failure, parent manipulation, an elder, your perspective changes a little bit. Maybe you're not as scared when you see them now because they're a human who made one step or maybe had one surgery and then got addicted to a drug and then relied on the same people who gave you those drugs to help you get off of it, and they don't, or they punt you off to somebody else and they put you on another drug, and now I'm going to put you in treatment and kick you out of treatment. I mean, it's just da-da-da-da-da-da.
It's a matter of education.
It is, and that's where my point lies, is there's so much, judge, so many people out there who are so quick to judge and manipulate situations without understanding and knowing what it really is. Like that, I'll go back to the disability rating. Okay, so he says something mean about somebody who's in the Air Force because he's a Marine, but his dad was a Marine and he was a Marine and he was a Marine and he was a Marine. And if he would have joined any other, military branch, he would have been a scumbag or a piece of shit in the family. So he joined the Marines.
This is the idiocracy of thinking this way.
I just think the more that you can serve your community and be involved, especially the ones that have sacrificed that time away and have been injured because of doing so, the more your mind is going to open and get out of your own damn selfish head and learn something about something and somebody else. You're going to come back looking at things a little different and maybe enable a little bit more grace.
Okay, how do you serve a community when you live in a city that has a population of 8 million?
Well,
Like New York, LA?
what do you think specifically is being targeted right now in our population to keep a narrative going? Who do you think they're targeting? Children?
School? Indoctrination?
Well, like you go anywhere and you look at the kiddos and they're just on their phones, right? And mine stay on theirs too, or look at theirs a lot too. But and so when you said, I'm married, I'm working hard, my spouse works hard, we've got 2 kids, I'm doing everything I can to skirt by here
Right.
and make sure we can eat.
Correct.
How in the hell can I do any extras? You've got 2 kids you had, and you're looking at their homework and you're spending time with them. Okay, to me, that's service. You're teaching those children continuity. You're showing them that you care and you love them, and that you're present to help them through school or through their homework and whatnot. So when you ask, what about all of these people? How are you going to save the world? I'm a social worker, right? So I'm bleeding heart. I'm going to save the world. I thought so. Yeah. Quickly was told no and learned I wouldn't either. But what I can do is educate myself, be familiar with who I am, where I came from, what my biases are. We've all got them. We all have them. Okay. And be self-aware of why I react the way I do. Like when I said to you, I know I'm going to misspeak here. I know I'm going to, like, how I say PCP and then don't understand the specifics and well, what the hell does she know? Okay, don't yell at me on there. The reason I said that is my own insecurity. Like I'm going to beat you to the punch and say it first. So then when somebody does say that, they could look like the jerk more than I looked incompetent.
Okay.
See? Okay. And so I think that when you're just getting by and you're prioritizing what it is you're wanting to be able to provide for your family and educate your family and show them ways to educate themselves to be better, to be more self-aware, is investing your time in your children, but then maybe starting with volunteering at the school. Maybe it's not cleaning up the federal cemetery, but cleaning up the trash around the park, which I know, okay, yeah, you got your park rangers, you got the people that your tax money is already paying for.
No, but if you see a trash, just pick it up, right?
But it's buy-in, because then if you just went and you pick that up and people keep putting trash right in the same spot that you go by and you're trying to keep nice and tidy, wouldn't that kind of, start kind of frustrating me?
Let me tell you one story because of the culture. So prior to us coming to the US, we lived in Spain for 2 years. So in Spain, Spaniards are going to be mad at me, I know, but I'm not lying. In Spain, we were shocked that Spaniards can, let's say, they can eat ice cream and they can throw the stick away, not in the trash can. They can throw trash from their windows driving a car. And it's not considered a bad thing. It's just culture. Mm-hmm. Culturally, they're like this. In my home country, it's a taboo. You don't do that. Mm-hmm. Right here, I don't see a lot of trash too. In my country, let's say I walk by the street and I see a trash can, I pick it up and I throw it in a trash can, in a bin. So it's a matter of culture as well.
I agree. Yes, I agree. I think that also then gives you an understanding of different cultures too.
Correct.
Now, legally, is it legal to litter here?
No, you got I won't say there's a sign $1,000 for littering.
Right. So in Spain, there isn't.
I want to say there isn't.
So there's that too. So if you know it's illegal to litter and you're trying to keep things nice around your area, or like Spencer Pratt talking about these needles, the dirty needles in the parks and things like that. And I wonder how many times that community over there tried to keep it nice and keep cleaning it up before they were just, all right, I can't do it anymore because it doesn't matter. And then it just got overran and all of that. You know, it's like how can you, but it's illegal to litter and you're trying to keep something nice.
Let me tell you another story. So we lived on Canary Islands for 1 month. So the Canary Islands is right next to Africa, but they belong to Spain. This is a beloved place for Brits. Brits go to Canary Islands because it's cheap, it's warm, it's a great ocean, great beach, great food. Once they do go to the Canary Islands, especially they go to the tourist places, I'm used to wake up pretty early, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. When we lived on Canary Islands, I woke up 5, 6 a.m. and I walked by the beach and took this walk from our apartment to the beach and back and forth. The night before, the Brits, let's say they watched soccer and they partied hard. So me at 5 or 6 a.m., I see the result of their partying. They smoke, they throw it away. They drink, they shatter glass, trash everywhere. Then the workers, they come in, they clean this thing up. 9 a.m., it's pretty clean. Same goes 9 p.m. And it goes rounds and rounds and rounds. But it tells you about the culture as well. If you're a tourist and you drink, you do this, and that, you don't care about that country's streets. You just throw the trash away. It's just culture.
But I know that if here you had been picking up litter and trying to keep this area, or you're volunteering to do so, or it's your job, or you're trying to teach your children, you want to keep your things nice and keep things that when you go and you see that, would it have bothered you?
It all comes down to the culture in your own home. Mm-hmm. If you keep your, let's say, your kiddo, 7-year-old, if he keeps his room clean, he's going to get used to the cleanliness, right?
Mm-hmm. And the time spent having to do it, and the time spent when it gets a little messy, or if something breaks or it drops, or, you know. And so I think that when you had experiences in time and you value it as well, that when you go to other countries, you might be a little less likely to do it. So, for example, one of those guys, one of the people that are just throwing their stuff and don't care, maybe when they were growing up, they got beat if they didn't keep their room clean. And that's just their way of acting out. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot that can go into it being just nasty and dirty and going to different countries and partying and leaving it a mess. Like, are you a slob at home too? Is this your way of getting back at mom from when you were a kid? Like, why would you do that anyway? That's just rude. But again, I think that when you are you're living in a community, this is a community where you live. And if you notice people are being disrespectful and being rude, or when your daughter starts walking around more and getting more involved, you might take it a little more personal, especially because it's a community.
It is a community. I live here.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of people do. And a way to respect and keep your community nice is that understanding, right? You're learning how to coexist and being mindful and respectful of the neighbor here.
Okay, so how to solve the homelessness problem?
I'm going to solve it right now. Spencer?
How?
How?
Do you know?
How to solve the homeless problem. I would be really excited to see an audit, because now we're going to go back to taxpayer money too, right? And it's like, how is there any homeless veterans? Like, why? Now, I also understand acting out and being on drugs and being addicted to things. You're not going to go work full time. I mean, they're contributing factors. This isn't a one fit all. This isn't a 2-hour conversation and it's done. But you mentioned charities earlier. And I mean, people want to support the veterans. People want to support the dogs. People want to support humane societies and this and that, and musicians. People want to support the ones that write the beautiful music. Was it Music Cares? Then they have after the fire. The fire victims. It was after the fires. They had these big concerts, and they were going to give all this money to the Palisades and all this money, all these musicians, all these people, all this money. Where'd it go? Oh, they dispersed it amongst nonprofits. Have you looked into that at all? All of these nonprofits? Oh, there was a lady who kind of blew the whistle on that, and she went on the news and she called a bunch of these nonprofits that this money, millions of dollars, had been dispersed to, and it was bullshit. They weren't getting, it wasn't money to serve a community. It's easy to get a nonprofit.
And no accountability? I can spend this money the way I want?
It's fraudulent, yeah. I mean, you can manipulate it, sure, and they're good at that. There's a nonprofit. I mean, there's a lot of nonprofits serving veterans, right? There's one in particular. They get their asses out there. They'll build the shed. They're going to help you build your fence. They're going to help you clean this up. Like, they're action centered. And then there's a lot of nonprofits. We're going to help with housing. We're going to help you pay for housing. We're going to give you this support. And
they don't?
No. They're going to, they have on-site living and on-site support. They get all of this money donated, but the pantry is just whatever so-and-so gave them because they were cleaning out their pantry at home, old mushrooms in cans or whatever. It's like, but you have this much money coming in. And that one said specifically for that, and you're not doing it. They're displacing the funding.
Okay, so in the whole California, 40 million population, there's not a single person who's about to do investigation and prosecute these fraudsters?
Not if they're getting cut from it.
So out of 40 million, nobody is doing that?
No, I think they do audits, and I think they call people out. Or
is anyone in jail for this?
I don't know. Probably.
A couple?
Maybe.
Scapegoats?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so how to solve?
How to solve it. How to solve homeless, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you do it.
Vote for me.
Well, one way to stop it would be the approaches to mental health and medication management and addiction, and doing legit, legal, honorable audits to where and how and what they're spending the money on, and the patients, and working with, it's like, I mean, it's easy to say, well, it's a drug problem. They all need to be in rehab. Fair? Okay, sure. Who's running them? Because we know that's a game too. They need you to be on this, to be on that, so they can still get this and keep you down here, so that we can keep having you come back, and we can keep billing it, and we can keep making a lot of money. So that's just manipulating the patient, right? Manipulating the client, and then they're not going to go anywhere because they're going to just keep in their same routine, same rotation. And now I'm on that, and I'm on Suboxone, but I got kicked out early, and I'm addicted to that. I'm climbing the walls, and now I'm going to just be a prostitute and make enough money so I can shoot up fentanyl and not feel like this, because this is a lot of guilt. It's a lot of shame. I feel like I'm going to die and I don't want to feel anymore. That's the reason I became a drug addict. So we got that rotating door over here, but oh wait, we got these nonprofits that are going to help us. But that salary is more important than what you're really doing to help the client and the population you're trying to serve. So really, it's a fractured system riddled with fraud and a few people trying to help, but more not understanding the system, not understanding the people, not understanding the culture, and not understanding how they got there in the first place. I'm just going to sit back and judge. And that's why I think our community needs to be serving our community. And if it needs to be mandated because you didn't join the military, okay. I'd be fine with my kids being mandated to have to do some type, a level of community service, so then they learn a little bit about the real world instead of sitting back like a keyboard warrior and judge it. That's why.
Solving the homelessness problems is money. Is it a matter of money or not?
Well, I think it certainly plays a part in it, and where they came from. Again, what was my first question? Who were you around when you were a kid? What was teaching you how to survive?
Okay, so let's say, let's take 2020. Elon Musk was still the resident of California. If he poured, let's say, $100 million, would it help?
Oh, I think it would, but how? So it's $100 million to a charity, $100 million to something or someone or some place that claims to be doing something.
Okay, yeah, but the question was, is it the problem with homeless is because there is a lack of money or the lack of effort, the corruption, or just having no idea how to solve it?
Oh, I think it's corruption because it's a lot of money. And again, how much does that one person get? You know, like that one homeless lady who's addicted to all of this stuff, how much money does she get? Like, what's it called? Financial assistance, Medicaid, food stamps, SNAP. The more kids you have, the more money you make as a single parent or whatnot, right? So I don't want to say it's a reward system, but then at the same time, why would you want to change it? Because you're getting disability or you're getting money and you're getting this and you're getting that. Why change it? But that's money from our taxpayers, and that person is quite capable of working and getting out into the community. Well, not all, but, you know.
Okay, so there are 43,700 homeless in, it's LA County only. Okay. How many homeless in California, approximately? So it says, yeah, it's actually 24 billion, not unaudited money spent on homelessness. Total amount of homeless, 190,000. Let's take 24,000 million billion divide 190,000. How much do we get? So every homeless should have gotten $126,000.
No, that money went to the people who care and are going to help you.
They would help me if they would have cleaned the streets of LA. When I go to Santa Monica, Venice, LA downtown, amazing place with huge, beautiful buildings that are centuries old. And I cannot be there by myself or with my kids because it's not safe because of the drug addicts, crime, Skid Row, all that shit.
That's right. So, Paulo, if they're supposed to, if they're making that much money off of one person, well, where did the $126,000 go?
Where? Question mark?
Right. And so they don't want to solve it. That's what you're up against. You know, like, how are you going to solve homelessness when there's that much money at stake?
So Gavin Newsom bought a mansion, I want to say 2 years ago, right?
I wasn't going to say anything.
That was $9.2 million. How? If he is a state employee for almost 8 years now.
Well, I know he has a nonprofit, or his wife started one, something like that. That nonprofit.
Newsom bought a mansion in Kentfield, Marin County, paying $9 million, which was 7% over asking price. The property has 6 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms, 5,600 square foot.
Can't wait till you get to the second one.
He purchased it through MHBD Farms LLC, an entity formed just 2 days before the transaction, keeping the purchase semi-anonymous. He's keeping his $3.7 million Sacramento home as well. Mind you guys, before becoming a governor of California for 2 terms now, he started his terms in 2018. He was the mayor of San Francisco for, I want to say, 2 terms. Right? So he's serving the state for almost 2 decades now. And he has a mansion worth $3.7 million and $9.1 million. How?
That's a good question.
The seller was Daniel Pritzker, heir to the Hyatt Hotels billionaire family. The optics problem. Governor's salary is $242,000 a year. Mansion price $9 million. Meanwhile, 180,000 plus Californians are homeless, and $24 billion was spent with no results. Up to Claude, not up to me or you.
So
even AI gets it.
So again, it's education, community, understanding, service, connection.
Let's read the last paragraph. It says, to be fair, Newsom was wealthy before politics. He built a restaurant and winery empire. But the timing of the LLC shielded purchase raised plenty of eyebrows.
Mm-hmm. And so, again, kind of going back to when you're more involved in your community.
Oh, he is involved.
Oh, he's quite involved.
And he's going to be involved once he becomes the president of the U.S., going from mayor to governor to president.
He's shooting for the stars.
Right.
I mean, at this point, you're almost kind of like, I don't appreciate all of that, but it's pretty impressive.
It is.
How kind of slipped past. So again, that's, people find the money. And when you've got a medication that is stronger than any other opiate times 3, and we're going to get you addicted to it, and have that rotating door of Medi-Cal and rehabs and treatment centers. So now the treatment centers are making a lot of money too, and they're kind of double dipping really, because the state's getting money, 120, and then these different facilities are getting reimbursed, right, from Medi-Cal. So, there a lot of people make a lot of money off of a homeless person, obviously.
So it's not going to be solved.
Well, they don't. I mean,
ever. It's a business.
It's a business. That person's a business.
Let's go to FAA and pilots.
Okay. I might need a break for a second, though. Can we do that, or is it a full go?
I want to say, let's go.
It's a full go. Okay. How much more time do we have?
All the time in the world. Just tell me what's the problem with FAA and the pilots, and why do you think it's not that safe as we think it is to fly?
It isn't that it's not safe. I think that...
Not as safe.
Well,
so as safe.
As safe. I feel like we've got to have really good, firm laws and regulations for pilots and aviation professionals. I mean, my cousin's a pilot. And he's flown commercial, he's done private, he's with a college now that he gets, I mean, he's done it in different capacities, right? And I asked him, I said, well, when was the last time you went to a doctor? Years. Because there's such a risk of losing your license and being grounded. And so right now, kind of what's happening is there's more conversations about mental health. There's more conversations about addiction and mental health. There are more conversations about the regulations and then the fear of disclosing any history of medical issues from your heart to addiction to what, out of fear of retribution. So now kind of there's a little culture change and more initiative to not necessarily change guidelines, but maybe loosen the grip of how long. For example, if you've been on, it used to be kind of like an ever, but now it's within like the last 2 years. So if you've had an issue with addiction, and had addiction medicine and treatment, ever it used to be, but now it's within the last 2 years.
Prior to getting the license or having a license already, these questions are being asked.
Always. So when you have to go and get your medical, like he goes every 6 months and goes to get the medical, there, that's a question. It's, have you, is there any addiction in your history, and has it been within the last 2 years? If your dog died and you went to a therapist 3 months ago for grief and depression, and now you go get your medical and they say, have you, and you disclose, what? Yep, I took that one hard. Well,
grounded?
They investigate it. Well, sure. Yep. They're going to want documentation from the therapist to state that you're regulated and you're, they want to know your diagnosis. Like, are you sure you want it? So basically what I'm saying is there's so much fear centered around disclosing any vulnerability in what you've experienced physically, professionally, emotionally, that it's, what's the truth, and are they really being truthful?
Yeah, but do we have a problem? How many air crashes occur in the U.S. a year? Do we have a problem?
Well, one of the examples was a few years ago, but the captain got up to go to the bathroom and co-captain crashed the plane.
Where? Here.
Oh yeah, but, you have to look it up. It was, and the point is though, does that stay in a captain's mind now? Like, I know you and I trust you, but I'm scared to get up to go to the bathroom because
but you're on autopilot.
Because you're right, you just push a button. No, but you know what I mean? But they can click that off and crash it. What I think is important is we need FAA, we need the FAA examiners, we need the medical, because an airline pilot is, man, they're moving more people than a doctor might ever see in their whole career in just a couple days. They are responsible for these lives. And to me, it's what is available, what is accessible, how can you access it, what's confidential, what does confidentiality really mean, and how, like, where and how and what and why and who is it being explained to? So what I like to do is identify gaps in systems that have been working, but could really, identifying it. How do I want to say this? If I go, when I was in Arkansas and I started noticing, that cop wasn't so bad. They say all cops are, though, kind of learning and wait, what could I have done, or how could I maybe help that how's that? As I started to kind of look into that and research that, I also know that a lot of people don't want to talk about feelings. Okay, we don't want to talk about
especially
feelings.
men.
Nah. And it's because a fear of what?
Judgment.
Okay. So then it's how truthful then are they to when they're trying to get hired on for jobs and things like that? But knowing that there is some support and having an understanding that there is some buy-in from your community, but also buy-in from your department might make it look a little different. So in Northwest Arkansas, I was the first to ever teach anything associated to mental health in police and fire academies. Me. And that was only in the last 7 years ever. Nothing about mental health, nothing about what you might see out there, what you might take home, or the fact that you're still chasing the high from when you were in the military and you joined the military because you needed to get away from home because dad was beating you or what. I mean, like, why did you do this? Why did you join that gang? You know? And it's like, they're going to be affected and there's really bad things that you're going to get exposed to. But you better not say anything because you might lose your job. You might lose your career. You might lose that. So it's like, okay, if we don't want to talk about feelings, let's just do it. Let's just talk about money. How much does it cost to train a pilot? How much does it cost to train that firefighter, that police officer? What does the retention rate look like? What's the turnover rate? How much money are you going to lose if that officer is only here 3 to 5 years, which is about the average now? So you're going to lose a lot of money because the wife is going to leave them, or, you know, like they're going to change. They're going to miss something. They're not be paying attention. They're sneaking around or they're hiding an addiction of some sort. And so they're not fully present. So if we don't care about feelings, we do care about money, bottom dollar. So when I look at aviation and I look at first responders, kind of forced to look at the bottom dollar. And it's like, you don't want turnover. You want to hold on to retention. What do we need to do and where does that need to start where there's support? So when I joined that organization that my grandpa was a part of, who was killed in a plane crash. So I have...
Private or commercial?
Private.
Because it says...
Well,
1,200 total aviation accidents per year, but 99% are small private planes. Mm-hmm. Your odds of dying on a commercial flight are roughly 1 in 11 million.
True.
Yeah. Do you see a problem with the 1,200 accidents in aviation a year, but only 1% of them being commercial? Because I honestly don't.
No. But what about retention and turnover and support? Because, and then that kind of comes back into the medical as well. Like the FAA, I mean, they need to be strict because, again, how many people do they move every day? Like how many lives, souls are they responsible for? They need to have tremendous training and ongoing training, but then when they don't feel supported or understand who and how and what and where they can access support.
But the stat says they are. They're good. They're supported. They're well trained because only 1% of those accidents are commercial. The other 99% are small private planes.
Right. To me, in my opinion, that's because there's not a lot of disclosure.
You think so?
Yeah. Those pilots, you don't want to say anything. You don't want to offer up any unneeded information about yourself because you're going to lose your career.
Yeah, but why would I care as a passenger whether my pilot is depressed or not if he's doing his job properly? He's taking off and landing the plane. That's it. I paid $300. I want to go from point A to point B and I'm done. I'm not interested in your situation, whether you're depressed, whether you are dumped by your girlfriend, and such. Right. I got my own life. Right. I know it's pretty selfish, but if I care for my pilot, then I have to care for my bus driver, for my technician, for my dentist, for my big list of people that I have to care for.
Right. A lot of worry. But then again, why don't you like to fly again?
Because I like driving my car and I like being in control. I want to have an access to a stop and have a dinner mid-trip. And I can't do that by flying. And I can't stand airports, going there, leaving my car or taking an Uber, having to wait minimum an hour, then going from an airport to my hotel, renting a car, or calling an Uber. So it's easier for me to drive to Vegas than to fly out to Vegas.
Sure. it's easier. But you said control. So when you take off,
That's it. I'm done. I'm in no control.
You're no control. And so you're trusting that 1 in 11 million,
Right.
that pilot is skilled, educated, has been, has kept the certifications up, and they're very good at that. They're gonna keep that straight. But the highest rate of divorce is within pilots too. So
Amongst all professions in the U.S., divorce rates by profession in the U.S., right? Pilots are on top. Are not actually the top, close, but not number one.
So 30
to 35% of all pilots experience divorce. Okay, on top is gaming managers, bartenders. Okay, the lifestyle, I get it.
This is different.
Flight attendants, 51%. So flight attendants, half of them.
So maybe
get
aviation
divorced.
professionals. How about
Yeah,
that?
okay, half of them. Okay, a lot. But why should they care?
Well, I mean, I don't know why you should care.
Do you care?
I kind of care.
Why?
Because I've not been divorced, but I think that kind of takes a toll. And why did they get divorced? Was it because they were away from home? Is it because they were cheating? Is it because, why did they get a divorce? Alcohol is a big deal in pilots.
You mean they drink?
Oh, yeah. Now, before you fly,
Between the flights?
No. You can fly when you fly like the night before. There's rules of what and how much and things like that. And I don't know a pilot that's broken that. It's serious to them. It's such an investment to learn to fly. Such an investment. And I think that when you're away for so long from home and back and forth, just like cops and firemen, like firefighters, I mean, that's a high risk for divorce as well because they're not at home. And same with pilots, same with flight attendants. They're tired. Oh, I was getting off the flight from Phoenix, and I got to talking to a flight attendant, and she told me she's a seasoned flight attendant, and she wasn't going to be home for like 30-some days. Somehow it connected to that. But tonight, they could get back to Tulsa, and she would be able to spend one night with her husband, and she's not going to see him again for like however many nights.
30 days.
But the weather was bad.
And she didn't get home.
They weren't sure if they were going to be able to get her home. Do you not think that affected how she was served?
100%.
Right. And so my point with aviation professionals, and like I said, they loosened it up from ever to maybe 2 years, and it's different things. And it is case by case. And there's different rules to different medications, and there's different rules to different diagnoses and things. But you say anything, they're going to want to look into it before you get your medical. I mean, right? Why wouldn't they? In my opinion, it needs to come back to like ground school and an understanding of them understanding the commitment to becoming a pilot, their commitment to who they are and why they want to do it, and an understanding of the impact it makes in your whole family. For example, when I got into flight training, it was at least $300 a day for me to do it. And for a fun, cool hobby at my age and where I'm at in life with 2 kids in school, me going off and spending that kind of money doesn't make sense for me right now on a hobby. Because it's too much of an investment. And what am I going to do with it? Fly, it's a hobby. And so what I started to kind of do was go, wait a second, who supports these guys? This is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And something that they make a really big deal out of is get your medical early. because you might think you're healthy and you might think it's going to be okay. But if you go to the examiner and they ground you, you might have just lost all that money too. There's a lot at risk when you want to go this direction. But what is available? How is it accessed? Nobody wants to talk about feelings. Nobody wants to talk about anxiety. Nobody wants to talk about depression. But so does that mean you can't be a pilot? If something close to you, a dog, oh, my dog, Charlie. If something happened to Charlie and I was supposed to go fly the next day, I mean, but having an understanding that other people do experience things, and that doesn't mean you're not incapable or you're too incompetent to be able to do it. If you do show, some type of an emotional response, I say, I don't think that's fair either. And you know what? It's never been talked about in ground school. But last month, I pitched that to a nonprofit, and they said, okay, let's talk about it. And I was the first, as far as I know, the first maybe in aviation history to have a dedicated time to have a conversation with these up-and-coming pilots about mental health. And it wasn't, this is what the FAA says, or this is the drugs you can take or anything. No, I'm not an FAA examiner. That's a federal thing. That is not my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is you better know damn good and well why you want to be a pilot. And you better understand why, and you need to understand the financial burdens it can place on your family for your fun little hobby. Or if you're needing to do this first before, the Air Force or whatnot, why there is a lady, she goes by Skydoc on Instagram, and she recently wrote a book, and it's called The 7 Primal Wounds. And she's a pilot. She's doctor of psychology, and you better know who you are, your biases, and your triggers, because when you get up in the air and the tower talks fast and you don't understand what they say, and you're a new pilot, so you ask them to repeat it and they do and still don't get it, and you're scared. You're right, and you're scared to ask again. But why? Oh, are you scared?
That's nonsense. That's nonsense.
You don't think that happens?
No, I think that happens, but this is a nonsense of being scared to ask for the 3rd time, for the 4th time, 5th time.
But if you've got fear of judgment, where did that come from? Like, well, that primal wound here from when you were a kid, and you're worried about saying anything again to the tower because, my gosh, what if I ask again because I can't understand them, and they're like, can't they hear? What? Oh shit! Okay, now I land, and what if they call the FAA because I've asked a couple? What if and then if they call the FAA because I didn't understand? I'm going to snowball. I'm getting anxious up in the sky, and all because you couldn't understand them. You needed it repeated again, but that fear, so you would rather not ask again because you're worried about this or that, and it snowballs from there.
You know what? I would say do that in school, in middle school. So maybe not 14 to 16-year-olds, but 17 to 18-year-olds, high schoolers, they would know for sure, at least they thought they could think that they know for sure. Who do they want to be? What do they want to do in life? Because when we were asked, when we graduate, what do you want to do? What do you want to study? I got no idea. Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a lawyer? An engineer?
Why?
I don't know. Why? Because of the money? Yeah, but you can do this, and that thing for the money, right? Oh, so maybe I should do those then. So please.
And I think now just having the conversation and opening the dialogue, getting anxious up in the sky doesn't mean you're going to crash. It doesn't mean you're going to do something impulsive. Why are you anxious? What's the trigger? What did it? What from your past? How do I like to say this? I'm going to need to take a break. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Flight attendants, I humbly share this story. There is a lady who's just a beautiful, beautiful woman. Her name is Judy, Captain Judy, retired captain from the airline. So, I mean, this organization is so cool. It's just cool. And I am going to say this, but I was quickly redirected. I said, you know, Judy, I go, why are flight attendants so rude?
She didn't like the question.
And again, this is why I go back to community, connection, conversations, and education, right? Well, because they're not there just to give you pretzels and drinks. Excuse me. They're there to make sure you're safe. And they're not there to kiss your ass. And they're there to be stern, they're educated, they're professional, and they want to make sure that you're going to live. If there is a 1 in 11 million shot in the dark, something's going to happen.
It's like the nurses. They're
Yes.
the top of the top. They're the most important ones in the hospital.
And completely
Not
undermined.
respected enough.
In the CNAs, like certified nurse assistants, those are a lot of times, I mean, that's the hardest job, I think, in any healthcare facility. But when I worked in the hospitals, the CNAs would be there on a code, and then they're the ones having to clean up the bodies. And these kids were like 19 years old, maybe thinking about being a nurse. They're paid the least. They're the ones that have to pick move the residents and the patients and things like that. And they're just barked at and pushed aside.
Nurses are amazing. Just like the flight attendants.
So
They do the experience.
she goes, they are our first responders. And I go, first responder. I felt like such an asshole. I said, they are a first responder and I'm an advocate for them. I go, wait a second, do they get the benefits like a first responder would? Like something even like Verizon, for example. Like do they get a percentage off because they're a first responder?
Nope.
Do they get, no. But how many people could code somebody at 25,000 feet and keep you alive, let alone get a whole plane out, let alone they're the barrier and safety to the cockpit? She said, if I don't have, she said, their role, I mean, yeah, I'm flying the plane and that's a big job, but what they're doing is what's keeping us safe. That we have to have good flight attendants and they need to be respected and acknowledged for that.
Just like any other regular person on the street. Homeless, veteran, no matter who. Mary, I know you gotta run, so I have been talking to you for almost 2.5 hours. We had, I want to say, 30-minute conversation on the phone. So what I figured out is you have a lot of empathy. It seems like you really care. So if you even care for dentists and flight attendants, which I don't because I pay money, right? And I want to get the service and etc. If I can help, if someone approaches me, can you help me? Of course. I'm not even going to ask who are you. But you have a lot of empathy and you really do care. And not only about your community, but you really do care about the country. Thank you for doing that. God bless you. I know you're a woman of Christ. God bless you. God bless all your family, your kids, your beautiful daughters. And I hope we're getting better this election cycle at least. And we're going to solve a lot of problems here in California and nationwide too.
Let me ask you something, sir.
Please.
With the conversation that we have had today, community, connection, education, all of that, my sassy comment about flight attendants, to be humbled to the fact that, my God, that's right. Did what we talk about change your perspective at all? And might have you look at somebody a little different?
Not looking differently at someone at all, because I try to be as polite as possible and respect everyone I meet on the street.
You give the grace otherwise.
Of course, yeah, because I know that being homeless in California is not that hard to become homeless, because you have to earn a lot of money and spend a lot of money on housing to afford living in even in a small apartment. But every other aspect of our conversation, I believe I have to stomach it. That's how I always do. And once I edit it in a week or so, I might rethink a couple of things. But the thing that you said, that we help our communities not the way I thought you want us to help the communities, but even by teaching your kids. So all of us do that, I hope. I try to teach my kids be as polite, as pleasant, as helpful, and as smart as possible. So I believe even us doing the show, I want to say, I believe we help the community and everyone that is watching. Maybe they're going to rethink their life options or life choices and how they navigate in life in the future.
And the judgment.
And the judgment.
And like you said, it's pretty darn easy to become homeless.
Very, especially in California.
And then when you attempt to rely on the word of these people saying, I'll help you and I have this and we can do that, then to understand that you were just a throwaway to them, like who are you to them? Because they just manipulated you too. But you said I could trust you because you have doctor after your name or you have governor,
But they see you as a business unit. I can earn money.
So it's like, how are we going to save and solve homelessness? Look how much money they make off of them. So I've been in private practice for a long time, and I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to be a therapist anymore. I want to be a florist and a musician, and that's what I'm doing. But I got to show you something. Okay. Can we do our little exercise?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this right here is, of all the modalities I've learned, I like working with horses though, but of all the modalities I've learned when it comes to processing emotions, this experience is something that I've never seen a veteran's face soften like this. I've never seen, I did this exercise. Typically what I would do is, okay, you said your favorite colors were navy and purple. What I wanted to do, and I ran out of time, was go to the store and pick up flowers that were navy and purple. And then I was going to pull some additional flowers from just what I've learned about you on TV and on watching you and things like that, and how you interact with your guests, and then kind of just your moral compass. You sound very loyal. You sound kind, not malicious. You're learning. Teach me something, and obviously you're loved. Your family man, you give a shit about this world because you've got stock in it now, honey.
Right.
You got a daughter, right?
And a kid and a son.
Oh, you do? How old is
7-year-old.
Oh, that's a fun age. That's a really fun age. And so in friendships, I know like some of the guys that you've had on a few times, I mean, you've got a cool, you're good time. And so I would have bought like some yellow roses. Yellow symbolizes friendship.
It means divorce in my country.
Huh?
It means divorce
Really?
in my country. Yeah.
Yellow roses?
If you hand yellow flowers, it means we're getting divorced.
Really?
Yeah.
The symbolism here is yellow roses in particular is friendship.
Okay.
White, purity, pink, loyalty, things like that. And so what I started to do is I always would bring flowers. Like how I got my foot in the door anyway with first responders was I would call the firehouse and I would ask if they'd want me, may I donate some flowers and put some flowers together so you could take them home? Because you've been gone and it's way more fun at the firehouse than at home with a screaming toddler.
Right.
Hence the divorce rate is pretty high in the fire service. And I started to do that and they started to trust me a little bit because I was consistent. And so what I started to do here, working with veterans, especially in that organization where they were homeless and they were housed there and things like that, a lot of drug addiction, a lot of sex addiction, a lot of shame and guilt. And I would start with, do you want to put some flowers together and take them home? Sure, yeah, okay. Then I started looking into the symbolism of it. And I started bringing flowers to work that symbolize valor or strength, loyalty. Sunflowers, for example, they symbolize loyalty and strength. They face the sun during the day, but forced to face each other at night to keep getting that energy to live. That's something. So what I do now is I go, what's good? We can go to a therapist and we can process the trauma. We can say, and you've got shame, you've got guilt, but what's good about you that you think is good about you? And then I'd have them pull flowers associated to that and build bouquets. This is it, though. Okay, I'm going to put this over here, okay?
Okay.
All right.
These are, by the way, my and my wife's favorite flowers.
Peonies are beautiful. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is we are going to put, and I want to tape you doing it because it's pretty cool. So what we're going to do is you're going to put these on the petals of that flower. Any flower. I get just a second too, because I want to make sure it's all like locked in and on and stuff. So these read the frequency from the petals, transpose it to music, and you got the song of the peonies that you bought for your wife.
So if I put these on the leaves, it's gonna play different music.
Do it. It's a different frequency. Oh, they're so pretty.
And it's not just random.
It's reading the frequency from the flower. Everything has energy, right?
Right.
Taking the frequency, transposing it to music.
Okay, if I put it, let's say, on my t-shirt. That's the frequency of the t-shirt?
It doesn't have one.
Because it's not alive?
I don't think it's alive. Well, put it on your hand and see. If it'll work. Or yeah, you can just squeeze it.
Okay, interesting.
So, what I like to do is, I forgot to hit play.
No worries, everything's taped.
Oh, good. Oh, thank God. Oh. So, what I like to do is, I hate to say could have, would have, but what I wished I would have been able to do was put those flowers together for you. And then I would have written why. And why those colors were important for me to convey to you, why you're important to me, and why you are in my life. Like these are the gifts that I get now. Mm-hmm. And what I would do with my veterans, or what I do with my veterans, I should say that, is when they pull these bouquets, put these flowers together that symbolizes what's good about you. Okay, they're a shitty friend, but are you? Well, no, I'm a good friend. We'll pull that rose. You know, it's like, it's a visual of what you said was good, not what other people said was good or bad. You said it. Now you got a visual, and now you got your song. And the thing about flowers is you can't prolong their life, really. They force you to have to stay in the present, to watch it grow, beauty, and then fade away and pass away. But your song will last forever. So does the card. But you have now been forced to stay in the present on something built around that you said was important. And then, I mean, that's their frequency.
That's very interesting. How is this device called?
It's called the plant wave. And I have another, like the plant wave, and then there's a couple, I mean, there's a couple other ways to do this. I can send them to you, some things online. And I bought a couple of them, and they're, a MIDI? I'm not good at this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I don't understand, the science, hooking up machines and things like that. But what I do understand is plant intelligence. Oh, we can talk. And that having access to hearing potentially something that is being given off by flowers and lawn and grass that we just walk past is beautiful
It is.
and fascinating to me.
God bless you, Mary, and all your family. Thank you for coming.
God bless you too. And thank you for your work. Thank you for the fun. Thank you for your platform that I know is saving lives. It's giving hope and a lot of grace.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
From the bottom of my heart, I would love to say thank you for watching this entire episode till the very end. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and click here or here and watch another great episode. God bless you.